Hello, we are here today to speak about the lump sum pilot and what do we need to know to prepare a proposal. The presentation will be structured in 3 parts. On the first one, we will speak about the lump sum pilot, why it has been launched, how is it structured, we will see 2 options, the principles. Then part 2 will get into the model grant agreement specific for the lump sum pilot, and we will finish with some conclusions.
The European Commission is testing the lump sums for 2 main reasons. The first one is the significant simplification potential it could bring. Indeed, despite all simplification efforts that already took place, funding based on the reimbursement of incurred costs remains complex and error-prone. On the contrary, a lump sum project funding removes all obligations on both actual cost reporting and financial ex post audits. It will bring a major reduction of administrative burden. The second reason why the European Commission is testing this lump sum is to focus on performance. Indeed, the lump sum pilots will enable a shift from a focus on financial management and checking costs to a focus on the scientific and technical content of the projects. To make the lump sum pilot work, 2 options have been defined. The first one, that we call option 1, means that the amount of the lump sum is fixed in the call for proposal. In the framework of option 2, the amount of the lump sum is defined per project based on the budget. As we said, in the framework of option 1, the amount of the lump sum is fixed in the call for proposal per project. It means that when preparing their proposal, the applicants will describe the efforts and resources they commit to mobilize for this particular amount. They will have also to provide a proposed split of the lump sum per work package and per beneficiary. It is the evaluation and competition between the proposals that will ensure that adequate resources are committed. When we are in the framework of option 2, it's up to applicants to propose a detailed estimation of costs in their proposal. Experts will assess those cost details during the evaluation and they will make recommendations. It means that the panel will include experts with financial expertise. Based on this, the lump sum amount is fixed during the grant preparation. For option 1, a specific methodology has been developed to fix the amount in the call of the lump sum that is in the call for proposal. You will find on the topic description of the Funding and Tenders portal the link to this specific methodology. When we are talking about option 2 lump sum pilots, there is a methodology that has also been developed explaining the method you will have to use to determine the amount of the lump sum of your particular proposal. Here again, you will find the link from your topic description at the Funding and Tenders portal. Following the evaluation, the lump sum is fixed during the grant preparation. One key principle applying to lump sum pilots is that the lump sum evaluation and grant agreement will follow as much as possible the standard approach. It means that the evaluation criteria are going to be the same, as well as the pre-financing and payment scheme. The reporting period and technical reporting will be similar as today, though they will focus on the completion of work packages. This leads us to the second key principle of lump sum pilots. Indeed, one lump sum share is fixed in the grant agreement for each work package. The amount of it will be paid when the activities in the work package are completed. Of course, as today, the payment does not depend on the successful outcome of the activities, but on their completion.
Well, the grant agreement will set out the lump sum, which is the EU funding that corresponds to the full accomplishment of the work which is committed in Annex 1. And the lump sum for the grant is set out at the moment of the signature, and then costs which are actually incurred are not relevant. Therefore, in a lump sum, there are no actual costs, there are no cost eligibility rules, and there are no financial audits. That's a very good question because, in fact, who does the work is extremely important. As in the General Model Grant Agreement, linked third parties and international partners must be named in the grant agreement. Therefore, in Annex 1, we must detail the tasks that will be attributed to each linked third party, to each international partner, as well as those that will be subcontracted. The budget is distributed among the partners with lump sum shares per beneficiary and per work package. So Annex 2 of the Model Grant Agreement shows this breakdown, which is very important because it fixes the maximum liability of the beneficiary after the payment of the balance. Yes, it's very important to bear in mind that this payment is done on the basis of completed work package in order to structure the proposal. So we have to keep in mind that the work package is a major subdivision of the proposed project, and therefore even if we break down the work packages, if we structure them so that they show the accomplished activities, a single activity is not a work package. A single task is neither a work package. A work package is not a percentage of the progress of the work. We cannot say that 50% of the test is one work package. Neither a lapse of time is generally a work package, for instance, the activities of 1 year. So the approach is as many work packages as you need in order to show the accomplishment at the end of the reporting period. However, for horizontal work packages such as management, dissemination and exploitation, the approach could be slightly different. Yes, budget transfers are possible in a lump sum pilot project, but all of them they have to go through an amendment. They have to be justified by the technical and scientific implementation of the action, as in any normal project. However, there are two additional conditions. The work packages should not be completed and declared. Anything which is completed and declared is already closed. And a second condition is that a review has to confirm that this amendment does not put into question the decision awarding the grant or is not breaching either the principle of equal treatment. Let's come back to the Annex 2 that we saw before, to the table where we have the lump sum shares per beneficiary and per work package. So we see here on the top of the slide that according to Annex 1, for that period we have 5 work packages and we have 4 beneficiaries involved. We see that the state of play at the end of that reporting period is such as work package 1 and work package 3 have been completed, they are all green. All the beneficiaries involved in these work packages have completed the work. However, work package 2, work package 4 and work package 5 are not completed because at least some beneficiaries did not conclude or even they did not initiate the work on these work packages. This means that at the moment of declaring, at the end of this reporting period, we can declare as completed work package 1 and work package 3, and we can claim the lump sums that are associated to these 2 work packages. However, we won't report work package 2, work package 4 and work package 5 because the work hasn't been concluded. Therefore, this cannot be claimed, the lump sums linked to these work packages, but we will be able to do it in the following reporting periods once we have concluded the work in these work packages. Here we have to distinguish between what is the reporting on the progress of the work and the financial reporting. When we report about the progress of the work in the grant, we will do it as in any standard project, and for those work packages which have not been concluded, we will still indicate where we are, which are the tasks that we have achieved and which are those which are still ongoing. However, in the financial reporting, these uncompleted work packages will not be declared. For instance, if we take the previous example, work package 2 will not be declared in the financial reporting because the work has not been concluded. We have three types of payments in lump sum pilot projects, as we have in any standard project. The first one is the pre-financing payment. This functions the same as in the general model grant agreement. The coordinator gets the money and distributes it among the partners according to the consortium agreement that had been signed. Then we have one or several interim payments, depending on the structure of our project. Here, the Commission pays the shares of the lump sum as they have been set up in Annex 2, but just for the work packages that have been completed and approved in that reporting period. We could have, as I said, one or more depending on our project, and we get to the payment of the balance, so the last payment, and this closes financially the grant. Here we have a particularity compared to the standard project. In principle, uncompleted work packages will not be paid. However, we can report on the level of accomplishment of these work packages, the percentage of the work that we have accomplished, and then this can be assessed whether a partial payment should be done or not. And obviously, this payment releases the guarantee fund. As we have been stressing throughout this presentation, a lump sum pilot project does not have any check or control which is related to cost incurred. However, we have checks and reviews and audits which are linked to the proper implementation of the action, for instance, reviews or technical audits. Then we have the compliance with other obligations of the grant, and here you have the IPR, the intellectual property right obligations, obligations related to third parties, or other obligations, for instance, linked to ethics, visibility of EU funding, and others. Therefore, no financial audits from the Commission side. We can see here the slide with a very clear division of what we need and what we don't need. We need technical documents, we need publications, prototypes, deliverables, to know who did what. Any document providing that the work was done as detailed in Annex 1. This is to say, these type of documents are not different to those that the standard model grant agreement requires. However, what we don't need are all those documents which are linked to costs which are incurred. So we don't need timesheets, we don't need payslip or contract, we don't need depreciation policy, travel invoices, or any type of information on actual cost.
So two legal documents are really key when you consider preparing a proposal for a lump sum pilot project. The first one is the model grant agreement for lump sum pilot, and the second one is the annotated model grant agreement, where you can find detailed explanation of all articles. Those two documents are available on the dedicated sections of the Funding and Tenders portal. So first important information is the proposal templates. The lump sum pilot proposal templates are very similar to the standard one. However, for option 2 topics, you will have to submit as well an Excel workbook with the detailed estimation of cost. You will find both of those documents, the templates and the Excel workbook, on your topic description section at the Funding and Tenders portal. And we can also direct you to the frequently asked questions at the Funding and Tenders portal, where you will have questions addressing all the topics we covered during this presentation. To conclude these presentations, let's focus on 4 points. The first one is that a lump sum project removes all obligations on actual cost and financial ex post audits. Second point, the lump sum will be fixed in the grant agreement. Third, the lump sum share by work package and by beneficiary is fixed in the Annex 2 of the grant agreement. And last but not least, the payment will be done when work packages are completed at the end of the reporting period. This is really key, and you have to keep it in mind when you will structure your proposal. However, be aware that the number of work packages should also be reasonable.